Hello and welcome to today's video. We are back in F1 2021 again, and this is probably one of, if not my best race from last year. This is the Singapore Grand Prix from the third season of my Team career mode, and in this season, for the first time, I had a car capable of winning a championship. However, there were moments where I got extremely unlucky as I was retiring from the first race of the season while in the fight for the win, and on the penultimate lap leading the race in Belgium with a comfortable margin over P2. Both retirements were caused by engine issues. Especially painful was Belgium because this was my chance to get close to the McLarens dominating the championship until that point. However, two strong outings with victories in Monza and Sochi brought me back very close to the front, and these were the standings going into the race. Norris leading the championship on 212 points, Ricciardo close in second with 208, and then there was me with 203 points, and well, Verstappen also somewhat in the championship fight with 179. So in this race, I had the chance to take the lead for the championship for the very first time, not only in this season, but my entire career. I am, by the way, driving in a Lola Dams powered by a Renault engine. Now, let's just look at how we are going into this race. Not a strong Saturday from the McLarens and me, as Norris only going into the race from P6, his teammate Ricciardo from P7, right ahead of us, who will be starting from P8. Verstappen, who snatched pole yesterday, had a good chance to make up some ground in that race. And now, with everything introduced, let's head to the grid and start this race. And there go the lights. 5 red lights and it's lights out and away we go. Pretty good start from Max Verstappen from P1. We don't get away too well. We already have to defend against Yuki Tsunoda. And we already lost 2 places to Pierre Gasly and our teammate Christian Lundgaard. This is not ideal at all. The McLaren's holding position in P6 and 7. And we already lost 2 spots. This is not good for our championship hopes, or well, at least the hope to get the lead in this race. So already we have to make up ground again. And there we do a little ambitious dive bomb against our teammate Christian Lundgaard, who backs out of turn 8 and now has to concede another position against Yuki Tsunoda, as it seems. Yeah, Tsunoda got by as well. So, not the cleanest move of us, but very important actually to stay close to the McLarens. But we still have Pierre Gasly in the second AlphaTauri in our way. And we need to hope to either get by very quickly or that he can keep up with the McLarens. But this is hugely unlikely as the McLarens pretty much have been the fastest cars the entire season. Or at least the most consistent fast cars. But you never know. Either way, we need to get by because every point counts. Maybe we can get a first attack done into turn 7 after the Raffles Boulevard, which is coming up right after the right-hander here. We need to get a good exit to have a chance of attacking Pierre Gasly, and I think we did exactly that. Look at how close we are. He's defending the inside line, but he leaves us a little bit of space, and we managed to squeeze through and get back into P8, the position we were starting in. And now it will be very important to see if we can keep up to the McLarens. And we are already over 1 second behind, so when DRS gets activated when we cross the line, we would not be in the DRS window of Daniel Ricciardo, so we already lost some time behind Pierre Gasly there. Just as we expected, he was not able to keep up with the 2 orange cars. And now we have to make up a little bit of time. And then, of course, Singapore isn't the easiest track to overtake, at least if you are in a DRS train, which pretty much everyone behind Lewis Hamilton is. Verstappen already 1.3 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc in P1. So he does not have to fear any DRS attack. And we already managed to get the gap down just under 1 second. Now we have to keep that gap as it is to get DRS for the first time, which will happen now. And, well, let's use this time to look at the standings as they would be right now. No too dramatic changes in terms of position, but what we can see is that, as it stands, Verstappen would actually be very much in the title fight as well, just 15 points behind Lando Norris in P1, and well, just 2 points behind us, sitting in third. So the three-way fight might just become a four-way fight after this race. But this race is still young. We're only in lap 3 out of 31, and maybe let's, for the first time, consider strategy. Now, interestingly, Lewis Hamilton is pretty much the only one in the top 10 starting on mediums, as he set his time in Q2 on mediums. This might give him a strategical advantage over all of the others that have to start on softs, because starting on the softs, we definitely need a two-stop strategy. He might get it done with one stop if he changes for the hard tires. Interestingly also is Sergio Perez in P12 in the second Red Bull. He's starting on hard compound tires, as he got some grid penalties due to him changing a lot of power unit components. So he's starting all the way down there and used this fact to go on a completely different strategy. And it will be interesting to see which role can he play in the race. He might even be a help to Verstappen, who will probably come out in traffic with his first stop. And as we can see, everything pretty much frozen in terms of gaps behind Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, he with the medium compound isn't going to keep up with the Ferraris and the leaders with the soft tires. Bottas probably able to go quicker. Pretty much everyone behind him until, well, us in P8 would be able to go faster. But this is the thing. Now, this isn't the easiest track to overtake, as it's pretty much every street circuit. And being stuck in a DRS train isn't ideal at all, because, well, if everyone can use DRS, no one is going to have an advantage to maybe try and make an overtake. Unless you try something very, very ambitious. But I don't think any one of us fighting for the championship is willing to do so. So we're probably all going to wait how this race will turn out. And actually, Lewis isn't losing too much time to the leaders, considering he is on the harder compound. I mean, if he can keep the gap at how it is right now, he may actually be a candidate for the race win. But as I've said, this race is still early, and we are pretty much stuck now in our starting position. By the way, as expected, the AlphaTauris nowhere near keeping up with us now. Pierre Gasly already 3.2 seconds behind. And of course, this is very unlucky for our teammate Christian Lundgaard as well, who is, well, also stuck behind them. And who is currently holding up Sergio Perez, who, despite starting on hard tires, is probably able to go a lot faster. Now, we seem to be a little bit closer to Ricciardo, and he looks like he is endangered to drop out the DRS of Lando Norris. Just 0.03 of a second more and he won't have DRS. Now he's still able to use it. Now we're showing us that we mean business and that we want to fight these two, and we have to hope that he for once will start to defend his position so that he loses a little bit more time and that he actually drops out the DRS. And interestingly now it seems like the disadvantage from the medium compounds are now starting to turn into an advantage, as Hamilton now gaining on Carlos Sainz and Bottas also losing to Lewis. And still it seems like Norris, Ricciardo and us are actually able to go a little bit quicker than the Mercedes in front. But not by that much that it would be easy to make a pass. Oh, and there we see Daniel Ricciardo going for his first pit stop of then definitely two. He's going onto the medium compound, and this now will be interesting because he will probably come out in traffic. Now let's see where he will come out. Bottas also pitting. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari from P2. Verstappen has pitted. Very interesting. Now where did they come out? Ricciardo is... oh, he's behind Bottas, who is just behind Vettel. So they're probably going to be held up. Now, of course, 3 seconds gap still to Vettel, but this might not be too well for him. So we need to keep an eye out on how they will do. And Bottas already gaining very quickly on Vettel, who is in a battle with Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi, so this will definitely cost time. 1.2 seconds already, Bottas and Ricciardo behind the two Aston Martin. Now, who will pit in this lap? I don't think that the undercut may be the best option. If you can go or stay out longer than 2 laps from now. Norris going into the pit lane. And so is Carlos Sainz. Hamilton obviously staying out on his medium tires, and we're also staying out on our soft tires, hoping that they actually will lose time in traffic. So very interesting to see where Norris will come out. Verstappen stayed ahead of Leclerc. Oh, sorry. Leclerc stayed ahead of Carlos Sainz. Verstappen already pitted a lap ago as well. He's now stuck behind George Russell. And Lando Norris is just ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Bottas managed to get past Vettel. Norris, what's he doing? He seems to be in a fight with Vettel. He made it past as well. Daniel Ricciardo, this is on the Raffles Boulevard, the best overtaking opportunity until the start-finish line, which may mean that Ricciardo has to go an entire lap behind Vettel on his medium compound tires, who won't be setting quick lap times, so he needs to get past as quick as he can, and if he cannot do that, this might be a huge problem for him, because he will lose a lot of time against us. And I think he is losing a lot of time. It will be very interesting to see where we will come out. Our pit crew is getting ready for us, and now we are in for our pit stop. Now, where do we come out? Do we have a good pit stop? We will see in about, well, 22 seconds where we actually will come out. AlphaTauri crew getting ready for pit stop. This will be Yuki Tsunoda. And here's our pit crew, medium compound going on. Sainz now breezed past the start-finish line. Where do we come out? Where's Bottas? That's Bottas. Going past Latifi. He overtook Latifi. Norris made it past Lance Stroll. And we actually cleared Daniel Ricciardo in the pits, who just overtook Vettel into turn 1. And this is huge. We actually gained a position there. And now we need to get past these guys in our way. Lance Stroll now cleared, and we're up into P10 already. Now Lando Norris made it past Nicholas Latifi, and a surprise move into turn 8 again from us, just as we did with our teammate on lap 1. We did it again with Nicholas Latifi, and this is very important. As I've said, this is the best overtaking opportunity on the entire track until turn 1. So we would have been stuck behind him for an entire lap, or 2 sectors at least, behind Nicholas Latifi. And look how much slower he is than Lando Norris. So this is very important to stay close to our main championship rival and the championship leader until that point. And interestingly, we also gained time on him, as we are now right in his DRS window. The first chance for us to open it will come in a couple of turns. We are now in the final sector. And if we can get a good exit out of the final 2 corners that we're passing here, we might even get the chance into turn 1. Starting lap number 10. We get close, but not close enough for a first attempt on a pass on the championship leader. But now, if we can stay close and if we get a good exit out of this right-hander here, we might have a chance to make a move on Lando Norris. We are pretty close. DRS wide open right now. Norris for defending the inside. We're choosing the outside, and we actually make it through, and we make it stick. We did manage to stay inside the white line. And this is the move that brings us ahead of the championship leader. P8 now. And now we're hunting down Bottas, who is stuck behind the Williams of George Russell, who obviously hasn't pitted yet. Who's running in P6. And Bottas now is stuck, as we've said. If you don't manage to get past into turn 7, you won't make it past for the entire lap. And we're already right at the back of the gearbox of Bottas. Oh, look. We are almost pushing the Williams through this final sector. Getting a good exit here is crucial. And we do get a good exit. The inside, oh my goodness, Bottas trying on the outside, and we're trying the inside lane, and we made it past both. Up into P6. Bottas gains a position, but also loses one to us. What a move. Almost like Häkkinen on Schumacher on the Camel Straight in the Belgian Grand Prix in the year of 2000, and Bottas isn't able to do a counter-attack on the Raffles Boulevard. And now this is very, very critical for our championship, as we're now ahead of both McLaren. And now it will be interesting to see if we are actually able to build a gap to the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas. And right now, it seems so. Most importantly, we need to get him out of our DRS window, which we might even do in this lap. Yeah, 1.1 now. The detection point is about here, so we don't have to fear another attack from behind. And we set our sails towards the Ferrari. 7 seconds ahead now. Carlos Sainz in P5. And this might be a good point to look at the live championship standings right now. And we see we moved up into P2. Norris still in the lead. 5 points ahead of us, and we are a further 2 points ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, and Verstappen still making up some ground. You have to take them with a pinch of salt, because there is still Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton ahead of some of the contenders here, which we might not know if this is the case at the end of this race, because they are on an entirely different strategy. Perez starting on hards, Lewis on mediums, probably going for the one-stop strategy. Or just switching it around. Going medium, soft, medium, or medium, medium, soft. We don't know what he's trying yet. But we might know in a couple of laps. Oh, I think actually we might know right now. Hamilton into the pits. So this already changes the situation. Will be interesting to see where he comes out after his pit stop. We just make it past him right now. Can he come out ahead of Bottas and Norris? This will be very interesting, because this would be another 2 points we gain on the McLaren if he does so. And he did. Hamilton ahead of Bottas and Norris. And this, of course, changes the championship to this here. Norris only 3 points ahead, as we managed to get the fastest lap as well in our last lap. So we're only 3 points behind, and Verstappen also coming closer. Only 12 points behind Norris. Verstappen obviously regaining the lead after he passed Sergio Perez and after Hamilton pitted. Leclerc also made it past Checo on the hard tires. So Checo obviously being on the hard tires. Leclerc on mediums. Just as everyone who started on the soft compound. And by the way, after setting fastest lap after fastest lap, look at the gap between us and Carlos Sainz. You know, this one was 7 seconds a couple of laps ago. Now it's coming all the way down to 2.8. And this obviously is because Sainz is stuck behind Perez on the hard compound tire, which helps us a lot. Although Carlos Sainz may have a chance to make it past the Red Bull right now. There we already see them. Is he making a move? We can't see. We can't see. And I don't think he's made it. Oh, that is terrible for the Spaniard. Yeah, he's still behind the Red Bull. Great defending by Perez. And this is a huge chance for us. We might even get inside Sainz DRS for the next lap. Because look at how much slower Perez is on these pretty old hard tires. As we are slowly reaching the halfway point of this Grand Prix. Our strategy has worked very well up until that point. And now we are inside Sainz's DRS window. But of course, he also has DRS, so it won't be as easy as it was in some of our earlier overtakes. This one might be pretty hard, but not impossible, because we know that the Ferrari isn't too quick in a straight line. Its engine just not being that great. And look at how close we are. If we get a good exit out of the next corner, we might actually be able to pull it off using all the power from our battery. But please don't show us this camera angle. This doesn't help us at all. Show us the front. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Carlos Sainz is past right now. We make up another spot and now sitting in P4. We might actually be able to fight for the win if we get past Perez and if we can keep our current pace up. The third DRS zone not as powerful on this track. So we have to wait at least until the start-finish straight. Or the pit straight, if you will. And look at that. Again, we're almost pushing him around the final sector. Now onto the pit straight we go. A good exit out of the final two corners gives us the chance to make a move, which we do. And Perez doesn't even fight it because he knows there is no point fighting on his old hard tires. He is on an entirely different strategy. And he needs to go as long as he can and to not lose any time. But he still has DRS, which may mean that Sainz has to wait for at least another lap. Yeah, he does, because his speed differential is not high enough to make it past the Red Bull. Nice camera angle right now, by the way. Looking down from the helicopter. Showing us the marvelous Marina Bay street circuit in Singapore. Tricky corner, this one here. And we already have 1.5 second advantage to Perez. And this would be the championship right now. After our overtake on Sergio Perez, we have taken the virtual championship lead. 3 points ahead of Lando Norris. And Verstappen still sitting on 204, Ricciardo on 210. So Verstappen still making up a lot of ground today. But this race still is far from over. We just made it past the halfway point as we're starting lap 17. And the final pit stops are getting closer again. Or as well, sorry. And now interesting to watch the gap to the cars in front. Because now we have some clean air. And this is really interesting to see if we can keep up with the top two. Or if we can even gain on them. 4.2 seconds on Leclerc. Staying pretty much as it is right now, but this isn't our best sector. Oh! Little bit of a wheel spin coming out of turn 13 there. That lost us about 2/10. This is where we are usually gaining a lot. The final sector and the first sector. Sector 2 is not the strongest for us. By the end of the lap, the gap is still on... No, actually it's not. 4.1. So we are going a little bit quicker than Leclerc. Well, we actually made it below 4 seconds now. And we can already see him there. This, of course, is some extra motivation if you can see the car ahead. And just as I say that, the gap has shrunk to 3.4 seconds. Last lap, when we were looking at the gap at about this point of the track, it was 4.2, so almost a second gained in one lap. Hamilton now on the hard tires, still holding Bottas and Norris behind, although they probably can go quicker. Maybe he could let Bottas past. This would seem like a good thing to do for Mercedes, but maybe they are afraid that the McLaren might slip through as well. Or then again, they might just not care about Bottas anymore at this point. So that, of course, is also a possibility. Oh, and interestingly, Charles Leclerc is coming in for his second and final pit stop. So we move up into P2 momentarily. Just as we are getting our first lapped car in our way. Who gave us DRS, which may mean we gain some more time. 5.4 seconds behind the race leader Verstappen. Tell you what, I've said it before, we might actually be in with a shot of winning this race from P8 on a track where overtaking is notoriously difficult. But of course not impossible, it's not Monaco. Oh, you could hear that we got a little bit of wheel spin again. Turn 13. This is probably where we're losing the most time. Now, when do Verstappen and when do we make our final stop? Leclerc has some clean air right now. He's 11 seconds behind Lando Norris, so he can use his fresh tires. He may even be able to set the fastest lap. That still belongs to us. Sainz now in the pits. Verstappen went into the pits, sorry. Didn't realize that. So, for the first time in this race, we're actually leading it. Obviously, that doesn't mean too much because we still have to go into the pit lane for our final pit stop and the last set of medium tires. Beautiful bridge there. Beautiful part of the racetrack. Spectacular scenes actually racing through the night of Singapore. Will we come in at the end of lap 20 or will we stay out in the lead for another lap? Leclerc managed to bring down the gap to 2.7 seconds to Verstappen. So he had a blistering outlap. And we're staying out for another lap. We want the fresher tires for our final stint. And we still can go somewhat quick lap time. So this might not be too bad. Hamilton just made it past Perez. Oh, Perez comes in for a second pit stop. Oh, interesting. So he isn't going for the one stop. Apparently only Lewis Hamilton going for the one stop strategy. So after our pit stop, Hamilton will be the race leader. Yeah, just as we expected at the start when I was talking about the different strategies at play, as Mick Schumacher lights us past on the bridge. He is very much in a shot of winning this race. If he can defend from Verstappen, Leclerc and, well, us. But Verstappen and Leclerc gaining on us, so it might be time to do our final pit stop and to change onto fresh rubber. In lap 21 out of 31, we come into the pit lane for the second and the final time. Where do we come out? How big is the gap to Leclerc after our pit stop? Right behind us, Schumacher and an Alfa Romeo, don't know who it is, into the pits as well. Good pit stop by our crew. Hamilton now past the pit straight now. Verstappen as well, and there went Charles Leclerc. Oh, he's actually pretty much ahead. Now let's see where he is. 2.9 seconds. Is this where the gap stabilizes? Yeah, there it is. No, sorry. 4.1 seconds. 2.9 was the gap between Max and Charles. But now we have the freshest tires of all of them. And already that gap is crumbling. 3.8 seconds. 3.5. Verstappen also made the gap shrink to 2.5 seconds between him and Lewis Hamilton at the top. This should be pretty easy stuff, getting past the 7-time world champion. Verstappen maybe the next lap already able to make a move to start his first attack. And yeah, after the final pit stop, this would be the standings. We are now equal with Daniel Ricciardo on 216 points, who, by the way, made it up to P6. Norris stuck in P9. Actually not too sure what happened there. Verstappen sitting on 197 points. But this will not remain as it is, as I'm pretty sure he will get past Lewis Hamilton pretty easily, and he could therefore take a lot more points than what he has right now. How did Ricciardo get by all of them? Was he on a different strategy? Wow. Sorry, I didn't even realize how that happened. He was stuck behind Bottas and Norris for a long time, but actually he seemed to make it past them. The gap between Leclerc and us is just 1.8 seconds. This is some really quick laps we're setting right now. And Verstappen is extremely close to Hamilton. He needs to get by as quick as he can and hope that Leclerc and us are getting a little bit stuck behind the Mercedes. And Verstappen made it past. He is our new race leader. Not a big fight between these two. Hamilton pretty much without any chance to defend. And there we see the top 4 on one straight. Of course, Verstappen has lost a lot of time in that last lap, because he was stuck for pretty much an entire lap. But the same fate will happen to us and to Leclerc ahead, because we will now reach the back of the Mercedes. We can now use DRS for the first time against Charles Leclerc, but no chance for any overtake on that short straight into turn 14, sorry. And things are now really heating up. This is a 3-way fight for P2. And if we want to have a chance to win the Singapore Grand Prix here, we need to make it past as quick as we can. Verstappen already increased the gap to 2 seconds. This is the first time. Can Charles Leclerc make a move against Lewis Hamilton? Can we make a move on Charles Leclerc? Not yet. Now, the Raffles Boulevard. This is the best spot to make a move on the entire track. Leclerc with DRS. Oh, he didn't get a great exit. He did not get a great exit. We are already almost alongside the Ferrari. But he tries to make a move on. Oh my goodness, 3 wide. And oh, they touch. They touch. Hamilton and Leclerc touch. We make it past, but we have to take evasive action. We have to leave the track. I think Leclerc has damage to his front wing. Leclerc was diving on the inside. We were actually backing out because that would not have worked, going 3 wide into turn 7. And I don't think Hamilton has any damage. We make it past. We didn't get a penalty there because, well, we had to avoid a crash in this situation. So that was a little bit of a lucky escape for us. And we actually made up 2 spots there. And it ended in dramatic fashion for Leclerc. I think Hamilton turned into him. He was alongside. Hamilton panicked when, well, Leclerc was appearing on his left and we were appearing on his right. And then he turned into him. So Leclerc might even have to go for another pit stop. And by the way, there are the updated live standings. Now we increase the gap at the top. 222 points against Ricciardo's 216. Then Norris on 214. And Verstappen making it past the 200 points barrier with 204 now. But this is still far from over. Just 3 seconds between the race leader Verstappen and us in second place. And it seems like we can go a little bit quicker. It will come down to a final battle in the final 5 laps between Max Verstappen in his Red Bull and us in our Lola Dams Renault. This would be our 3rd consecutive win after, as I've said at the beginning of this video, wins in Monza at the Italian Grand Prix and in Sochi for the Russian Grand Prix. Leclerc now from hero to zero. He was in for a fantastic podium finish for Ferrari. And now he dropped all the way down to P10. Hamilton might actually be able to stay on the podium. Sainz 10 seconds behind him, and we already gained half a second on Max Verstappen. We're now pushing as hard as we can after that lucky escape in that Hamilton-Leclerc fight. .6, 1.7 now. Verstappen can't break away from us. This is looking increasingly good. We might actually, at the end of this lap, have DRS for the first time. Now, of course, the part of the track where we lose some time. Either it's my driving or our car just not liking this particular part of the track. But now, in the third sector, it should get a lot better. Yeah, already from 1.4 seconds to 1.2, watching the gaps. And now, this is critical. Below 1 second right now, and there is the DRS detection. We will definitely not be close enough on the pit straight, but we will get an awful lot closer with DRS open right now. And there we go on board with us, as we can clearly see the rear wing of the Red Bull ahead of us. Is this our first chance already? Can we already make a move against Max Verstappen? Fourth in the championship, first in the race, fourth in the championship, second in the race. Now we make it past, we squeeze our way through. He did defend there, but there was just no chance. We were too quick with the help of the rear wing. We made it past. We've seen so many moves into turn 7. Not only from us, but from a lot of drivers. This is probably one of the most interesting Singapore Grand Prix we have ever seen, with so many overtakes, so many battles going on up and down the grid. Verstappen tries to keep up with us. And we need to get him out of the DRS so that he cannot make a counterattack. But it looks good. And that should be him outside the 1 second window. And he definitely is out of the 1 second. Oh, maybe not definitely. But I think he hasn't made it. Yeah, the rear wing stays closed. And this is very important news. Because that may mean on the last 3 laps that we're doing right now, we might not have to fear another attack from the Red Bull behind us. We still can go quicker. On the medium tires, we were pretty much the fastest car on track. This is an experience I've made for the entire season, but first let's look at the live standings again. The gap at the top has increased, and it's now 11 points actually. As Lando Norris now stuck in P8, he's still stuck behind Bottas. He has been stuck for pretty much the entire race. He will be having nightmares of Bottas' rear wing. And he did lose the championship lead he had for pretty much the entire season. He has lost it now for the first time, and we've taken it for the first time. Or we will take it if our car does not break down on the penultimate lap again. This would be terrible. Charles Leclerc, bad luck in this race. He's at least he made it past Gasly, so P9 for him right now. Maybe he can charge for the fastest lap. That still is set by us. A little bit of track extending going on from us there. We need to be careful not to do that too often. And Hamilton's strategy actually brought him up one spot. The one-stop strategy, although for the race win it did not work at all. He was just a sitting duck for the cars on the two-stop strategy. And yeah, it was what I was telling from when we were looking at the live standings was that on the medium tires our car was just unbeatable today. This is an experience we have made very often in this season, that the softs actually did not work too well in the race. But then on the medium or hard compound tires it just worked much better. Often fighting with overheating tires, especially with the softs. But not today, not on this track, and of course especially not with the medium tires. This is just a match made in heaven. The yellow car and the yellow tires, this was just working too great today. We are now starting our final lap of the Singapore Grand Prix, which we hopefully will make through unscathed to finish this race in P1 once again. And to, for the first time in our career, inherit the championship lead. One last time through turn 7. We've seen so much action going on there. Not this time, of course. Everything is settled now. And the standings we've seen a couple of laps ago are also probably the final standings after this race. Charles Leclerc isn't able to put the fastest lap as well. So 26 points for us in this Grand Prix. Now, just the final sector to go. For the last time under the grandstand here. And you can hear the cheers from the crowd. The fireworks will be going off in a couple of seconds. We are making it past the final 2 corners for the final time onto the pit straight. And we win the Singapore Grand Prix and take the championship lead. Max Verstappen finishes in P2, 1.6 seconds behind. He did try to make a fastest lap on the last lap. He didn't make it. Lewis Hamilton will be coming home in P3. And the championship rivals, Ricciardo in 5 and Lando Norris in P8. And that's it from this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, goodbye.